It was team-based. They actually met through that Superbrawl and then later on met IRL and became real friends, which is like the most beautiful story to me. So big shout out to Faelia and Stylet. I saw Saudi in chat earlier as well, so lots of familiar names are here, and we are entering round number 1 of today. There will be 6 games in total, so hold on to your horses, but maybe we can get a direction of where this is going.
I'm going to see as we load in, players have chosen their first item on the carousel, which can, of course, dictate to some extent, obviously paired with the first augment pick, the direction that players want to go into. It's always, very important to have direction to not be too dizzy in the early game. Nearly in shop, not always, a possible direction. Very sadly, I will continue mentioning how sad I am to have her in her grave for the last month and a half. But that is the case. Maybe set 7.5 will change that. But for now, very basic start here. Double Senna and the Sejuani here. Senna 2, always a very good early game unit to win streak.
Mirage coming in the top right corner. We're seeing its Executioner as Edge. How do you feel about that, Panda?
It's viable. It's not Pirates, of course. Pirates always going to be the one that you want to play early game, but not late game. I think every other Mirage is to some extent viable and playable. Deja was a little bit oppressive, a little bit too consistent in how good the Mirage comp was overall. Before the last patch, this patch it got toned down a bit. Her wind blast damage got toned down. I believe her armor, her MR got toned down a little bit as well. So it's still definitely good, but I think everything that was a little bit too good before 12.16 is now toned down a bit, and I think it's one of the best patches. I think it makes sense. Balance has gotten better and better as we reach the end of this set 7.
Yeah, and Balotelli actually is starting here with 2 BS swords, going to be a very offensive head start as we go into the first augments. Cybernetics, always something players like to kind of pick up and drag along. It's not super game defining. It's not locking yourself into something. Other than Rebel Heart, of course, Rebel Heart, unlike Rebel Emblem, doesn't give you that emblem that you could slam on a Deja, for example. And then Luden's Echo as the last option.
Cybernetic used to be maybe not an insta pick, but a very attractive pick. Also got toned down a little bit in the last patch. Pretty much everything that was a little bit too good, everything, augments, items, static shiv, units, everything got toned down a little bit. I think that was the idea of that last patch. So maybe not as insta pick still. With 2 BF sword, I think it does make sense. You just want to try and get, Edgewell 2. You can start doing a lot of damage and win streak throughout this early game, and hopefully get a good position going into that stage 3.
We are seeing her augments by Blitz.gg coming in on the left side of the screen, and there's something that just always happens in our tournaments. Players go for that Tiny Titans, and this time around there were actually 3 players who had it in their store. Brubbba, Auk, and Idle going for the extra HP here. Now, of course, at the top of the lobby, but with that many people picking Tiny Titans, do you think it loses a little bit of the attractiveness?
Hard to say. Whoever is going to be loose streaking is definitely going to have the guarantee in the carousel for them. That's one thing you have to think about with Tiny Titans. It gives you a big buffer for your HP. It allows you to loose streak and feel more comfortable doing so, and kind of see it as a more consistent way to loose streak without getting into too much trouble. But you lose carousel priority, so it does matter to some extent. Depending on the item you have, if you already have kind of a good item slam that you don't really need a specific item to continue going for a comp or a specific direction, it might be fine to still go for that and not feel like you're losing out too much.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit worried for these 3, because with that many players trying to get that loose streak going to one, get a pick in the carousel once again, and also get that econ up, it's going to be very, very hard. So we're going to be watching how it goes. Brubbba here, of course, one of the players that has that player cam, always makes me so happy. Of course, in the early stages, not much to tell from their reactions, but I'm really excited to see where this lobby is going to lead with these player cams that we have here today. And Brubbba looks ready for the day for sure.
Aatrox looked good with the Hodge there, but he met a one-punch man set already with Titan's Resolve built on him, and going to be extra tanky with Dragon Mancer as well. Going to mean that it's going to be a pretty good early game for Visor here if he can get, not have this set get killed off too early on. If you can kind of get that rhythm going, going to be a very strong early game for him as well. Aatrox, I would say the same, but just had a really bad pairing there. The 1v1 versus set is not something Aatrox is going to win. He's more kind of in the sustaining kind of idea with his healing.
Yeah, and we are getting word that Og actually has trainers and a chalice on board. That is going to be one big frog on his board. There it is. Yeah, that's a pretty strong start here. Actually, not looking for that loss streak on the side of Ogg. Probably more looking for the win streak with that setup here.
Going to be building towards the Super Nomsy. Hopefully not the, the forbidden Super Nomsy, because that, of course, we know is banned and definitely not talked about on stream. But just the normal Super Nomsy with Chalice being built is always going to be a fun one, depending on, how far you go into that. And maybe sometimes you go too far with some players that want to build only for Nomsy, and then it's not really that consistent.
Yeah, actually losing here, unfortunately for Ogg, was hoping to maybe get that win streak up, but we will be going into the carousel soon. On the board of Darkest, they're one of our Turkish players, not super known, but we just heard our casters on the intro desk talk about them, so I'm really curious how they do. I looked a little bit at the regional tournament qualifiers that players came in through, and I'm just so ready to see what these players are in for today, what they're going to show us. It'll be super, super fun, and we are picking up some augments. You can see what they have on their bench on the left side at the components by blitz.gg, and yeah, let's see if maybe there's some big upgrades being made.
Dark is not one of the household names, but they are currently top 20, I believe, on ladder. So definitely a ladder player. Definitely someone that I've seen. Yeah. So they've done a very good job all throughout this set as well. Although, of course, you have kind of the difference, as you mentioned on top of desk, where you have like the superstars, and then you have the players that are trying to still become those superstars throughout this set, and maybe set 7.5 as well. But we're seeing here, this is a dangerous set. You have weak spot as well, so even more damage coming from this. And one thing to note, all the augments are pretty generic. Tiny Titans, Cybernetic Game Plan, Scroll of the Hunt. Nothing has kind of fixated one player down a specific path, which means that all the players have a chance to still be very versatile and very kind of open to what the game gives them going to stage 3.
Yeah, and we're seeing something that I thought was long lost, but it has come back with this patch. A little bit of a reroll on the Rage Wings. We're more than often seeing sets, Canes, Shens being dragged into late game on a vertical Rage Wing. That's something I am hoping we're going to see today. Super, super fun comp, if you ask me. And yeah, some sets to go around here once again on the side of Xuso also happening.
It got a bit of a resurgence. There was obviously at the very beginning of the set, it was a very good reroll comp from China. It was I'm not gonna say dominant, but definitely very viable for the early game. You can win streak all throughout stages 2 and 3 and sometimes 4 even. Fell off after nerfs, and now is more appealing, especially with Shyvana at the top end. That you have this kind of, you can cap out after having that huge power spike from set 3, from playing stages 2 and 3 win streak, and then you have a chance to still continue spiking, continue upgrading your board once you're able to hit that Shyvana in the late game.
Yeah, also Xayah coming back, and after she was really good, she got nerfed very hard, and now she's back at a place where you can slot her in without feeling like you lost 4 or even 12 gold, right? So really, really good to see that unit back. I saw Barry, our beloved OTP, saying that now that Xayah's in a place where she does something again, maybe he'll return and do good in tournaments, but he's not in this one, of course, so maybe someone's going to pick her up, looking like they would want to here. Darkest, like you said, going for that Xayah, going for that Shyvana later on, really on the trend of trying to get a Rage Wing angle from what it looks like.
And there it is, 5 win streak with that set, and with Thrill the Hunt, it just makes sense. You have a kind of a 1v9 type unit that needs to kind of get kills and can reset his HP thanks to those kills with Thrill of the Hunt. It's a great synergy. I'm not too surprised to see there is going to be a win streak here for Darkest going into Krugs. We'll see if they can keep that going in stage 3. That is obviously the dream for most players. Having that 10 win streak all throughout the stages 2 and 3 sets you up for almost a guaranteed top 4. And if you're able to navigate those power spikes, maybe even a first place as well.
So with our economy being shown right now, you can see the level that the players are on, you can see the econ that they have, and also the streak that they're running. And of course, we kind of have to talk about Zbrojson, who is in 2-7, still on level 4 loss streaking, really generating that economy. And to me, that's just such a Zbrojson move. He always does that. He's so comfortable with dropping these HP and staying really, really low in these tournaments just to get a start where he has gold to work with, where he can actually build a comp then. And it's something we have seen at the EMEA finals. It's something we are seeing in all of our Golden Spatula Cups. So a very, very common theme for him. I hope he can turn it around. He doesn't always do it, but most of the time it works out.
Even if he can, this is a dangerous lobby to get such a massive loss streak on. Because of the Tiny Titan players, because the second worst player in terms of HP right now is at 92, it means that even if you stem the bleeding at 35, 40 HP, 2 bad fight RNG encounters in stage 4 and stage 5 means that usually you think, oh, someone else is going to die before me because everyone else is going to be losing HP. But because everyone else is so much higher than you, it makes it very difficult to not just have those 2 bad fights and go out in 8th.
Yeah, definitely. Also, we are getting word that there's another player here that had a very successful lose streak, so we kind of want to shout that out. Idle did manage to have a 5 losing streak with only losing 22 HP, and that is actually extremely good. He also had that Tiny Titans and is now back to 100 HP, did generate a lot of economy, and will be very happy with the results of that loss streak. But yeah, augments are coming in. It's going to be tier 2 augments for this.
An Elise on the board for Zbrojson. He just made the switch from the Skarner.
Yeah.
The Silas on board. Is it time to just to try force it up, Makes? Is it possibly the angle? It did get nerfed from the beginning of the set. Hasn't been very appealing the last few patches, but maybe this is the time to actually pick it up.
I actually really, really like the Elise reroll, but to say it in the words of our last Golden Spatula Cup winner, Scapeus, Elise is nothing without that siphon. So you're really dependent on also hitting him, and doesn't seem like Zbrojson wants to go for it. Is using that reroll here, is going to pick up an Ancient Tome, and we will see what everybody else is on. Ascension being found here for Balotelli.
And Balotelli has the 5 Shimmer skill and already found the very early Itis. I don't believe he's actually rolled on 6 even, considering we're still on 3-2, maybe just leveled up and put it in. So fortunate for him, able to have maybe what could be a good tank here for the Volibear as well, a pseudo tank, but not good enough for this fight. Kane, I think, is strong, but not strong enough. 1v4 ends up going in his opponent's favor, and Balotelli will take a bit of a loss here.
Actually, I misspoke. The Ascension, of course, is on the side of brubbba, and it is the Dragon Horde on the side of Balotelli.
Yep. So that explains the Itis then as well. So I always like, players are getting lucky. They're not getting lucky. It was just the augment in this case.
Exactly. So yeah, augments are being shown once more, except for maybe the Dragon Horde and Xuso. Not really a lock-in still. Players are trying to keep it open, trying to have their options here. I wonder what Zbrojson's tome gave him, if he used it already. That's something that could be a statement direction for him. But he needs to find an angle here. 37 HP, a huge gap over to Balotelli, who's on 74, right above him in the lobby ladder. Really, really needs to get going and close that gap, Zbrojson, that is.
We talked about it. If he takes one more loss here, that I think is going to be, hard to salvage for a top 4. Maybe not going to be 8th necessarily, but just because of the discrepancy in the HP totals, very, very doomed start for Zbrojson. Unfortunately, looks like he did get a win here, so managed to stabilize.
Yeah.
Not sure who he ended up facing. Maybe it was just one of the weaker players. All in all, needs to continue the stabilization all throughout the rest of this stage 3 because, we've seen it before. Some players end up dying before stage 4 even starts. Hopefully that won't be the case for Zbrojson in this game.
Also, brubbba, who was on a win streak here, did find a loss in the last round. So maybe the lobby is starting to be shaken up. There's a Golden Spatula on this carousel, and players are hovering around it, are being able to pick it up here. It does have a rod on bench. Could, for example, go for that Dragonmancer spatula. Not sure if that's where he wants to go with it, but we're going to keep an eye on what's going on.
Heimerdinger 2 Power Spike gonna help accelerate that Nomsy as well. So at the very least, I'm memeing a bit with a Power Spike, but it is true that it will help speed up the process of that Nomsy leveling up to become the best Nomsy that it'll ever be. I was going with a Pokemon theme song there, but I'm not going to go that far in.
Og is actually like in his mind already in 7.5 trying to build Dragon Nomsy. So, but yeah, we're over on Zbrojson's board, and we can see that he got a Whispers item out of that tome being slapped on the Deja, which I think is a really respectable slam. Not something I see super much, but I like it for now. Should be able to give him a little bit of a more stable board until he is able to go in a direction with maybe a Siphon if he wants to go for those Whispers.
Yeah, it looks not too bad. At least has good items on the Deja as well. It's not a Revel emblem, but Whisper's emblem, I would say, is the second best emblem to have on Deja. Deja, one of the units that I think is most transformative when it comes to emblems in the set, has been throughout this entire set, a unit that you can make work completely differently in how much better this dragon can be if you're able to get the right emblem and give it the right trait. And Whispers is one of those traits that does synergize quite well with Deja as a unit.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. He, of course, would like to upgrade that Deja, but so far, it seems like he found some stability in this round with that upgrade being made. Hopefully, can close that gap that he has to the other competitors in this lobby a little bit more, and we are over on the Jade players bench. Suzu, of course, took that Eternal Protection we talked about it a little bit ago, has locked himself into the Jades to make sure he's not playing without Augments. Of course, we now know, but you can also do that and still win a tournament, but maybe not the most ideal way to go. And very good to see that Xiaoyu fight it off with the set 2. Of course, Xiaoyu only 1-star is going to be losing here against Visor.
And something about Set, Visor and Darkest playing Set since the beginning. Darkest, they are still win streaking with that Set. We talked about it. The ideal for most TFT players, the games that you feel most comfortable and most safe are the ones where you're able to win streak all throughout stages 2 and 3. And that's the case for him, or for them, and also for Visor, also with that Set doing quite well.
Yeah, over on Balotelli, currently 7th in the overall lobby standings, is on that Shimmer Scale angle for now with the Dragon Horde, but has found the Shyvana, which should be a really big upgrade for this board here. Of course, would like a 3rd dragon at some point and some upgrades across the board, but that breath should help him to get some more stability here. Maybe find more wins.
He's hiding her away next to Idis, just so no one, if they're scouting them quickly, they're not able to see she has a Shyvana already onto the board.
They're going to see now that the Shyvana has been upgraded to Shyvana 2 in 4-1. That is such a huge unit to have right now.
Scary.
He's on 61 gold, super stable, can just easily econ into a level 8 from here on out, and we are seeing the economy come in. Balotelli is in an amazing spot right now.
Set versus Shyvana, well, the cost difference already should indicate that Shyvana with Diamond Hands should be the one winning this fight. The massive CC, the massive Dragon's Breath, everything melting away to the just stream of fire raining down upon this battlefield.
Yeah, the Dragon's Descent is coming in hot here for Balotelli. Zbrojson also on a win streak right now, but we are getting prismatic augments for the 3rd ones of the day, something I'm always very excited to see. Players usually hate it. A lot of the viewers are so-and-so on it, but they will come in here as the 3rd option for the players. We can see on the right side of the screen, some players are upgrading to level 8 right now, and Balotelli is still thinking about it, what he wants to do here.
If he's feeling comfortable, if he's feeling strong, he can scale into late game with high-end shopping and guarantee upgrades, and that's going to be the case. The extra gold, you're comfortable, you don't have to, this prismatic lobbies, it always comes to the time where if you don't have gold to work with, you can't really go for any of the, could be very strong econ augments. But in this case, Balotelli doesn't need to upgrade his board. He's already strong enough to just, kind of ramp through the entirety of stage 4. He can save up all this gold, go level 8, and roll as if he was at level 9, and pretty much guarantee Shyvana 2-star, which could maybe seal the deal here and get him in 1st place in this lobby.
Yeah, let's see what that Shyvana does here. Diamond hands on her as well.
Oh,
as
my
she
goodness.
goes in and just completely annihilates what's in front of her. There's no questions being asked on the strength of Balotelli in this lobby right now. That's definitely the board from what we've seen so far that you are going to be scared to face, that players will try to find an angle against. We are seeing new recruit on the side of Suzo being picked up, but it's such a strong board that we're looking at right now.
And the scaling from that gold on the staff that's on Shyvana is why she's doing so much damage. Also, she has changed a bit in how her ult works compared to the start of the set. Start of the set, Shyvana did not operate like we're seeing here. That's for sure.
Yeah, she had a little bit of a targeting, let's say, fix, yeah, where now she actually breathes in a direction where you would want her to. We are seeing augments come in, 2 players on that high-end shopping, and still brubbba also locking into the Jade Crown here, similar to what we saw from Suzo. But other than that, players are keeping it very, very open. This is not super common for our tournaments. Usually players like to go with really strong trade augments for most of the picks, and then maybe pick cybernetics or something like a Thrillless third one. But here, they're all still looking where they can take it. And Zbrojson on the 28 HP right now, really looking scary for him.
We saw the battle of the Dejas there. Whisper's Deja apparently not better than Rapid Fire Cannon Deja, because we saw there.
Rapid.
It's a very good, actually. Most players were always just looking at Rageblade and didn't consider RFC, but RFC, unless a fight is lasting X amount of time, is not going to scale more than just Rapid Fire Cannon will for just the immediate attack speed buff.
We are seeing that Suzo and Og both have a golden spatula on their board right now that they could utilize. So maybe we are seeing some more emblems being created here, or they're still hoping to find a tactician's crown in this game here. But yeah.
Big pickup. If we're able to find that Nico 2-star here for Chuso, that is going to be massive. Shyvana is found. Nami 2 is not quite what we were looking for, but I guess it's something. You can't complain too much. A little bit more gold. Nope, Nami, not you.
Not you. Not what we're looking for, but
go.
Looking for that. Nico finds it, will sell off the Shyvana here to secure that stronger front line. Of course, would have liked to also see a Xiaoyu in that store. Wasn't going to happen, but at least with the Frozen Heart and the Sunfire, it should be a stronger front line for this Jade board here, as we see the rapid fire Deja from Darkest come in. They have a pretty strong board here. Mirage Zoe also in the background there, of course, with the Chalice going to give her a little bit of an extra strength, but will that be enough to take out Suzo's board? It does look like it. Carries are not alive anymore. One more ult from that Deja, and that should be the end of it. Another loss for Suzo.
Perfectly placed Zoe there next to Deja to give him even more attack speed with the Zoe Tornado ults right there cornered. So very, very good combo that has been built by Darkest, and still 100 HP. Is this going to be makes a 100 HP win for Darkest? Is that a possibility we should start considering?
I don't think so. Because there is the Shyvana board that we talked about. I believe it was Ox. So I think that is very strong. And Idle also notably doing really well, was in the bottom tiers, now up on 4th place in the lobby standings. Could be a potential board that is very strong. I'm still worried about Zbrojson. Zbrojson looks like he has stabilized right now with the 28 HP, but we should check in with him and see if maybe he can find a big upgrade in the Treasure Dragon that will come after this round.
We'll see the fight here, the battle of the Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu number 1 on the side of Vicer looking much stronger, triple itemized, whereas Chuzo Xiaoyu still Xiaoyu 1 and only has that Bloodthirster, so not going to do quite enough, it looks like. In Karma, only getting 1 item and not really the damage carry you hope for at this stage of the game. We're seeing here just a little bit too much to handle with 3 items on Vicer's main carry.
Yeah, and in comes the thing that I always look forward to. I think players are probably feeling similar ways about this. The Treasure Dragon, of course, different approaches to this generally throughout all of the players. A lot of the players just like to go with the first best option that somehow works for them, not waste too much econ. But we have also seen players spend, not significant amount of gold, but some gold into it, as Yao Xin is being found by Xuzo here, trying to roll for legendaries, trying to find the Bard or even that Xiao Yu that he would so desperately like to find, but it's not going to happen. 1 gold on the cards. Zbrojson now going to level 8, catching up with the rest of the lobby. We are seeing the board here. We talked about that Whisper stage. Like you said something, you know, you really like to see this. It's a very strong combination, but he has not found success so far for Whispers, for Mirage. Keep in mind, this is Executioner's Edge that we have in this lobby here as a Mirage, and Zbrojson is just hoping to climb into the top 4 with how it's looking right now.
Not a standard comp, very much a just good stuff comp. You just hit these certain units at 2-star, you just throw them in and hope they do their best. All the units on board are good units in my opinion. Maybe Elise, you know, sometimes does her thing in the wrong ways and ends up getting killed. But overall, a comp that maybe, again, Zbrojson did not have the econ to work with. He was loose streaking the entire game, was not in a good position to stabilize and be greedy and try and build maybe the standard, very strong comp coming into stage 5. And we'll see if he'll be able to survive here. The switch to the right here is going to be great for this Deja. Going to be able to ult straight down that line, straight down the diagonal to the entirety of the board. But the front line melting maybe a little bit too soon. And Xiao Yu, oh, never mind.
No,
he has been melted
it
and deleted.
Yeah, very, very nice. Of course, with the targeting of Deja, looks for units where the most of them are in a line, like you said, perfect positioning here. Of course, the Elise assisting from the background, just assassinating several units here. So really, really nice to see that come out. He finds a win, but now Og and Zbrojson are both down there, 14 and 15 HP, followed by Visor with 19. All of these players have rolled down their entire gold last time we checked in with them. Xuzo being able to find that Xiao Yu too, that is so big for him, something he was desperately looking for. Very, very good to see. Should probably help him to sustain a little bit more, but Og and Zbrojson are really the players that we are looking for. Og with the Mage Cap Yasuo here.
Unusual. Usually you want to itemize the front line so Silas survives as long as possible, but in this case it will be Yasuo doing the stalling, and we'll see if he's able to do enough here up against Zbrojson. This could be the final fight for both of these players, both at around 15 HP. Deja has been stunned. No QSS here to stop the damage, you know, from coming in throughout this entire fight, but it looks like it's still going to be enough here. Deja dealing so much damage on this diagonal, and I don't think Zoe has enough, or am I mistaken once again? One more ult from Deja.
Whispers on that Deja, and not much the enemy units can do here. She will find a kill on that Zoe, and that will be a win for Zbrojson. Ox stays in the tournament, but is down to 6 HP, which is really at any point he could be knocked out here.
And Zbrojson has already done the impossible. We talked about that 40 or 50 HP gap throughout most of this game. He was able to stabilize, and now he's back, you know, in the pack. Not the, you know, the good side of the pack, not the top 4 pack, but at least he's among other players, and at least he's not 8th right now, and maybe has at least managed to maybe sneak into a 5th or a 4th. That would already be I think a pretty good result for this game for him.
Yeah, one more round before we go into the carousel. We see that Og can only find one of our lobby leaders right now, brubbba, being found here with the Jade comp. Let's see if it's enough. The Yasuo will go in, sweeping strikes coming out, assisted by the Zoe in the backline. But is that going to be enough to take out the tank? Zoe, Nico falls down from the Zoe, but Xiao Yu is still alive, looking to find a kill on that Yasuo, and she does find it, is onto the backline. And I think that's going to be it. Ascension assisting here. Zoe tries to keep anything out, but Og will go down here, and so will Visor.
And just barely takes the 8th there. Visor gets a 7th with -7 on the HP. And then 3 players we've seen now in this lobby with Xiao Yu as their main damage carry, and they all, you know, are still alive coming into this stage 6, almost at the end of stage 5. 6 players remaining here.
Zbrojson finds another Whispers emblem on a Yasuo. That is a really, really nice pickup for him for sure. You can see the econ. Xuzo and Zbrojson as well as Idle are really down. Idle actually, every time we've been checking in, just 0 economy going on, but is win streaking. So maybe we can take a quick look at idlemonk's bench before we go back to Zbrojson. Just a quick look at what's going on here. And
more Whispers.
Yeah, Corky Siphon board here with some whispers. Of course, the whispers emblem that he just found being utilized, and a big Nomsy. But yeah, looking really good. Has been going down with the economy to try and find these units. Was successful. Let's go back to Zbrojson and see if he can survive.
We'll see now. I imagine Yasuo was added in over that Thresh and still keeping in that 4, or no, 6 Whispers, never mind. So it's going to be the idea here to just have even more reduction of MR, shrinking even more these poor units. And this Deja continues to be the damage carry for Zbrojson. Again, another great comp to face. The diagonal is here again, but Siphon can... Oh, I think he ulted the wrong way, and that's going to be the case. Deja able to clear everything out once again. The Siphon was just a little bit too far away the entirety of that fight. idlemonkk takes a hit, and Zbrojson continues to stay alive. Chuso also now win streaking after he hit that Shioyu too.
Yeah, really nice win for Zbrojson, getting that security in here. Still a little bit off the rest of the lobby, but is at least safe from 8th and 7th place. Still, any turn could be his very last, so hopefully he is able to stabilize even more. Xuso also, ever since he found that Shioyu, is able to win here. Very beautiful. And Darkest still leading the lobby by so much. 81 HP is a huge cushion to the rest of what everybody else is going on. And we're going to see if Zbrojson can survive what is in front of him. Xuso Sport with that Shioyu coming in, and it's going to be the battle of the dragon. Can the Deja take out the rest of the units to allow damage onto that Shioyu before the Shioyu comes for her? And I'm not sure she can. She's actually going to take out the Shioyu, and it will be enough. Zbrojson finding another win against Xuso Sport here.
5th place versus 6th place. Poland versus Spain, my two biases facing off against each other. And in the end, Zbrojson continues to do what I thought was impossible. He was at 37 HP at stage 3-4 makes. I remind you, he has only lost 30 HP in more than 2 stages and has managed to, again, turn around his board completely once he found that Whisper's Emblem, once he found 2 Whisper's Emblem, actually.
Yeah, I mean, that Yasuo Whispers pickup in the carousel was just, it was made for him. It's going to find Hextech here, can probably utilize this to get a little bit of extra healing additionally to that thrill that he's running. But we're going to be over to Darkest, who's still on that, like you called it, rapid fire cannon Deja, and also doing really well here.
And has gold to roll.
Has the Soraka, has the Bard, has a lot of legendary units in that backline stacked up. Some of them would like an upgrade here. Finds Bard too. Is going to play that as well. Finds Lulu too, is going to get a little bit of extra sustain, but really would like to have an upgrade in that front line to allow the carries to actually do the damage.
But very well played by Darkest. They're able to leverage the HP lead they had to just not roll Econ up all throughout stage 5 and now roll at 9 to try and guarantee your first place. They already guaranteed the top 4 because how much more HP that they have than every other player that we see there at the bottom end. And Zbrojson, maybe, is this finally the time, or are we going to see him winning out all throughout? He's placing off against Darkest, against the leader, against the Deja that's trying to kill it off. The RFC seems to reign supreme as Zbrojson gets eliminated in 6th place in the end. All in all, for the way he started this game, I think it's not a bad place for him. And brubbba as well, 5th place.
Of course, we have to talk a little bit about it because Xuso and brubbba both on the Jade angle here, cannibalizing themselves a little bit, trying to fight for the same units. But we have our top 4 locked in. Darkest, Idle, Balotelli, and Xuso are in here. I would like to check in with Balotelli because the last time we saw Balotelli, he had that Nico's helper, Shyvana, being found super early on. And there she is, the Dragon Horde is still running strong, but can it do enough against the Jades that are now coming in? The Shyvana will lift off, and Dragon's Descent is going to crash down on the entire backline. The Breath taking out a huge cluster of the enemy backline, but the Shioyu is still going strong. Now onto the Shyvana. Will that be enough? The Battle of the Dragons continues as the Idis stands there and is absolutely untouched. Will go down though, similar to the Shyvana, and Shioyu is actually smashing anything in her path. Balotelli is losing significant amounts of HP here.
Eternal Protection, very strong in that case. We saw that, especially the healing from Jade, Shyvana was forced to use 2 ult on that right corner. The units that weren't really doing much of anything, while Xiao Yu was continuing to pound away onto that Shyvana throughout the entire fight. So all in all, just if Shyvana was able to kill off that first ult, that entire right corner, maybe she would have changed her targeting to that Xiao Yu and things would be different. But all in all, a little bit too much sustain from that Jade comp for Shyvana to handle. Turkey on top makes for this first lobby. Darkest and idlemonkk both first and second right now coming into these final few fights.
Yeah, and like we said, Darkest did won their regional qualifiers, came in first from the Turkish region, so really not a huge surprise to see them do well here. I love that, and we will see how it goes against Balotelli Sport, but it seems like the Dragons are strong with this one. Shyvana will make an end of that rapid fire Deja for sure, and Darkest will find a loss here.
It was a close one, but that stun from the Xiao Yu onto the Deja at the very end there cut off that last bit of damage that was necessary to kill off pretty much all those units, because that is just one big blast once you're scaled up in the damage, and that could be GG.
That could be GG, yeah. Xuzu out, down to the top 3. They will pick up another item here, looking for what they want to go with. Darkest picking up that redemption as we go into what could be the final round for Balotelli. Finding that Shyvana so early on looked like a super scary strong board with the high-end shopping as well, like securing additional resources into those legendaries, but is still looking to see where this can go.
See what upgrades can be made here. Some gold to roll with, but not really too much to look forward to other than maybe Soraka at 3, but I don't think there's enough time here, especially with Balotelli at 6 HP, meaning he only has 1 or 2 fights left in him. I don't think he'll get to stage 7. Considering how strong his opponents are at this point in the game as well, going to face off against idlemonkk. We'll see if his Whispers Corki can do enough, and we'll see if the frontline will survive for long enough for this Corki to dish out the damage he needs to dish out with a Shojin. A bit of an unusual build on this Corki.
Yeah, but the Corki is untouched, notably. The Shyvana only now walking over. That allowed him to just take so many other units out, and should be enough here as the Siphons now also onto the Shyvana. They will take her out, and that will be the final round for Balotelli as he comes in third in round 1 of today. It's down to Darkest and idlemonkk, the 2 Turkish players here coming in their regionals first and third. I'm really curious if this is going to be a rematch or if Idle can actually upset what happened at their regionals and take the win here.
And you have to feel good if you're a Turkish viewer seeing, game 1, day 1, how are things going to start off for your players, but for your country as well, and you see them right away first and second in this lobby is a very good sign for the rest of this day 1, and for really Turkey has been fantastic all of this set.
Exactly. So let's see how it goes. The Aoshin on the side of Darkest now powering up, is looking for that mana, trying to get it here. But the Corki again untouched. In comes the Lightning Rain and taking out nearly the entire board of idlemonkk. This is so strong, but so is the Siphon. He's going to annihilate the Aoshin, and in the end it will be a win for Idle.
Gonna be slow progress considering the HP that Darkest has right now. Gonna have to chip away at that huge HP lead for the next few fights, but this is the case of just the matchup of dragons here is gonna favor idlemonkk. Siphon able to chomp down on Aoshin, maybe just instantly delete him before he can do his thing, means that dragon matchup is in favor for idlemonkk, outside of the rest of the comp and what exactly every single unit is adding to these fights.
Yeah, and here comes the treasure crab, as I like to call it, getting them some extra items, Giant Slayer and Jeweled Gauntlet being available for these players here. Of course, the carries, they're all fully itemized, but I think on the side of Idle, there's a Pike that could probably use this to maybe give him a little bit of extra damage, and we are seeing Idle thinking about where this Giant Slayer should go.
Where this Yasuo might go as well for Dark or for idlemonkk. If you want to make an upgrade, we saw Silas 2 finally coming in for Darkest. I'm not sure how they haven't had Silas this entire game, but comes in at stage 7. I guess, better late than never is what I've heard said throughout my whole life, and it may be the case here as well for Darkest.
And actually, a big redo on the side of Idle, taking out dad trainers. No Nomsy existing anymore, and we're going to see a rematch. Maybe this time the Aoshin can find a win against the Siphon Corki. The Lightning Rain once again coming in, and it will be enough. The extra support of the frontline stylist did it, and that is a win for Darkest, taking first place into round 1.
Big congrats to Darkest, big congrats to Turkey, and big congrats to that Aoshin. The Siphon just barely managed